Many people associate prosperity with financial security and living a comfortable life. But if we take a moment to look deeper through the lens of Solomon's wisdom, we discover that true prosperity is far more than just material wealth. Solomon teaches us that real prosperity is rooted in justice, wisdom, and most importantly, in a close, personal relationship with God. It's not about accumulating wealth for the sake of wealth itself. True prosperity begins with understanding God's purpose for your life. Without that sense of purpose, even the greatest riches can feel hollow, like drinking from a fountain that never quenches your thirst. When you align your finances with God's principles, that's when you'll find peace and fulfillment. Just like a thirst that can only be satisfied with the right kind of water, your soul can only be satisfied when you align your resources with God's plan. Wealth without purpose is just a burden. But when you live with divine purpose, that's where true joy and fulfillment come from. Prosperity is not about what you have, it's about what you do with what you have. When you use your wealth in alignment with God's will, you'll see His blessings overflow into your life. And that, my friend, is the kind of prosperity that brings lasting joy, peace, and fulfillment, because it's rooted in purpose and aligned with God's divine wisdom. When we think of wealth, our minds often go straight to money and material possessions. We imagine big houses, fancy cars, and bank accounts full of zeros. But what if I told you that the true source of wealth is not in what we own, but in something much deeper? It's found in wisdom, justice, and purpose, the eternal treasures that cannot be taken away by time or circumstances. These are the riches that never fade, that never lose their value. And they're available to all of us. King Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, understood this profound truth. He knew that wealth without wisdom could easily become a burden. It might bring temporary pleasure, but it won't bring lasting peace. True prosperity comes when we align our wealth with God's divine purpose. When we use what we have to bless others and to live with integrity, that's when we truly experience abundance. Think about it. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have wisdom, it's just like holding on to sand. It slips right through your fingers. But when you live with purpose, when you make wise decisions, treat others with kindness, and keep God's principles at the center of your life, your wealth becomes a tool for blessing, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Imagine someone who has everything the world says they need to be happy: fame, fortune, success. Yet they still feel empty. Why? Because their wealth isn't grounded in wisdom. But someone who lives according to God's plan, even with less material things, can experience true joy and fulfillment. Their wealth is used to serve a higher purpose, and that's what makes it truly valuable. Solomon reminds us that when we align our resources with wisdom, our wealth has the power to transform lives. It's not just about accumulating things for ourselves, it's about using what we have to make a difference. Your wealth doesn't have to be just for you. It can be a blessing to your family, to your community, and to the world. And when you do that, you're tapping into a kind of prosperity that the world can't offer, a prosperity that's rooted in God's grace and wisdom. The true source of wealth isn't in the things we possess. It's in how we use them. It's about living with purpose, making wise decisions, and sharing our blessings. That's the kind of wealth that lasts. That's the kind of prosperity that brings peace, fulfillment, and lasting joy. So today, let's choose to seek wisdom, live with justice, and align our wealth with God's purpose. When we do that, we'll unlock a prosperity that will never run out. There's a common saying that money is the root of all evil, but that's actually a misinterpretation. The Bible doesn't say that money is the problem, it's the love of money that causes trouble. Solomon, in his great wisdom, teaches us that money itself is simply a tool. It's not about how much you have, it's about what place money holds in your heart. Look at Solomon's life. He was one of the richest men to ever live, yet he never let wealth define him. He used his prosperity to honor God, to build the temple, and to help others. His wealth didn't control him. He used it to fulfill a higher purpose. That's the key. When we place God first in our lives, money becomes a tool we use to do good. It becomes a blessing, not just for us, but for the people around us. It's not about chasing after money for its own sake. The real prosperity comes when we understand that money is meant to serve God's purpose in our lives. When we use what we have to help others, to bless those in need, and to make a positive impact, we're aligning ourselves with divine values. Wealth becomes a way to express our faith, to live out the values of love, kindness, and generosity. Money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money that can lead us astray. But when we use money wisely, when we keep it in its proper place, it becomes a blessing. Remember, it's not about what you have, but how you use it. So let's make sure that our wealth, big or small, is being used for something greater than ourselves. Let it be a reflection of our faith, a tool to fulfill God's purpose, and a blessing to others. Solomon understood something powerful, that true prosperity isn't just about how much money we make, but how we manage it. It's about living wisely, aligning our resources with our deepest values. You see, financial wisdom isn't just about avoiding mistakes, it's about living with purpose, peace, and freedom. Think about someone who earns a great income but doesn't have a plan. Even though they have plenty, they still feel stressed and worried about money. Why? Because they're not managing it wisely. But then there's someone who may not have as much, but they understand how to budget, save, and invest. They walk through life with confidence, knowing their finances are in order and their future is secure. The Bible tells us that when we manage our finances well, we're not just taking care of our material needs, but we're also honoring God. Solomon teaches us that true prosperity is rooted in being responsible stewards of what we've been given. It's about making choices that reflect our faith and trust in God's provision. When we apply financial wisdom, when we live with integrity and discipline, we set ourselves up for success, not just in our finances, but in our entire lives. So remember, prosperity isn't just about accumulating wealth, it's about managing it wisely and living with purpose. An entrepreneurial mindset isn't just about launching a business, it's about seeing possibilities where others see obstacles. It's about embracing your creativity, taking bold steps, and turning every challenge into an opportunity. Solomon teaches us to be diligent, to tap into our God-given talents, and to use them to not only bless our lives, but also to uplift others. Don't limit yourself to one source of income. When you step out in faith and think big, new doors will open that align with your values and purpose. For instance, maybe you've always loved painting. You could start by sharing your artwork with friends, then grow into teaching classes or even selling your pieces online. When you stay proactive and open to new ideas, the possibilities are endless. Solomon reminds us that true success comes not from relying on one path, but by embracing a mindset of growth, creativity, and faith. God has placed inside you the ability to create, to innovate, and to prosper in ways you may not even have imagined yet. Trust Him to guide you as you step out and take action. Crises and challenges are an inevitable part of life, but they don't have to define us. In fact, Solomon's wisdom shows us that the difficulties we face can be some of the greatest opportunities for growth. When life throws us a curveball, it's easy to feel discouraged or defeated. But what if we looked at those tough moments differently? What if, instead of seeing them as setbacks, we saw them as stepping stones to something greater? Think about a time in your life when you faced a financial setback. Maybe you lost a job or had unexpected expenses pop up. In those moments, it's natural to feel overwhelmed. But Solomon reminds us that every difficulty is a test of our resilience. It's not the crisis itself that matters, it's how we respond to it that shapes our future. God allows challenges to come our way, not to break us, but to make us stronger, wiser, and more dependent on Him. Take, for example, a business owner who faces a sudden downturn. Instead of giving up, they choose to see the crisis as an opportunity to regroup and reimagine their approach. With a spirit of faith and a heart full of trust in God, they begin to adapt, get creative, and use the wisdom from above to navigate their way forward. What started as a threat to their success ends up becoming a defining moment that pushes them toward even greater accomplishments. Solomon teaches us that every challenge is not a barrier, but a blessing in disguise. It's a chance to develop perseverance, resilience, and a deeper understanding of God's plan for our lives. When we go through hard times, we can either be discouraged or be strengthened. The choice is ours. When we embrace difficulty with faith and trust, we turn it into an opportunity for growth. Through God's wisdom, we can rise above any circumstance and come out stronger on the other side. So the next time a crisis comes your way, remember, it's not the challenge that counts, but how you rise up with resilience. Each trial becomes a stepping stone, leading you to greater wisdom, deeper faith, and the prosperity that God has in store for you. Keep pressing forward, knowing that the best is yet to come. Persistence is the secret ingredient to achieving lasting success, both in your finances and in your life. As Solomon wisely says, success is not about immediate results, but about steady, consistent effort. It's the small steps you take each day, even when you don't see immediate progress, that eventually lead to extraordinary breakthroughs. Don't be discouraged by slow progress. It's building something great, one step at a time. Think about a seed you plant in the ground. At first, it looks like nothing is happening. You water it, give it sunlight, and wait patiently. But over time, that tiny seed grows into something strong and beautiful, a tree that provides shade and fruit for years to come. Your dreams and your financial success work in the same way. The small, faithful actions you take now, no matter how insignificant they may seem, are preparing you for something amazing in the future. Solomon also reminds us that challenges are a part of the journey. We all face them, but persistence is what separates those who give up from those who go on to achieve greatness. When you keep pressing forward, even when it's tough, you develop the strength and wisdom to handle whatever comes your way. It's not about avoiding obstacles, it's about overcoming them with grace and determination. Take the story of someone starting a business from scratch. At first, the road is hard, the setbacks seem overwhelming, but with persistence, staying focused on the goal, adjusting along the way, and never quitting, the business begins to grow and thrive. The same is true for your life. Every small victory, every setback you overcome is getting you closer to your breakthrough. Persistence also teaches us to adapt. Life is full of surprises. Things won't always go as planned, but when you stay persistent, you find ways to pivot, adjust, and keep moving forward. Each challenge you face only makes you stronger, building a foundation that's rock solid. True prosperity isn't just about what you have, it's about your character, your resilience, and your ability to stay faithful to your purpose. Remember, the key to true success is believing that every small step you take, no matter how insignificant it may feel at the moment, is leading you to something bigger. Your persistence, your faith, and your unwavering commitment will always bring you closer to the blessings God has in store for you. Keep moving forward, because lasting success is the result of consistent effort and a heart full of faith. True prosperity isn't just about accumulating wealth, it's about how we use what we've been given with wisdom and purpose. Solomon's teachings remind us that money is not the end goal. It's simply a tool to fulfill a higher calling. When we view money as a means to serve God's greater purpose in our lives, we open the door to a prosperity that goes far beyond material success. You see, it's easy to think that wealth equals happiness, but we've all heard stories of people who have it all, the big houses, the fancy cars, the luxury vacations, and still feel something is missing. Why is that? Because when wealth is disconnected from purpose, it leaves us empty. Solomon knew that true prosperity isn't measured by the size of your bank account, but by the contentment and peace that comes from living in alignment with God's will. Imagine this. You could have everything the world offers: fame, fortune, success. But if you're not using that wealth for something greater than yourself, it won't satisfy. But when you choose to use your resources to bless others, support your family, and honor God's purpose for your life, that's where the real joy comes. That's the kind of prosperity that lasts. As we navigate our financial decisions, let's remember that we're called to live with purpose. When we align our actions with God's values, our wealth becomes a reflection of His goodness and a tool for His kingdom. We don't need to chase after more and more. God has already given us everything we need to live abundantly. So true prosperity is not found in material possessions. It's found in living a life full of purpose, using our resources to bless others, and walking in the fulfillment of God's plan. As we embrace Solomon's wisdom, we will find that the greatest wealth is not what we have, but the way we live and serve the purpose we were created for. If you've made it this far, I want to congratulate you because you're already on the path to true prosperity. By subscribing to this channel, you're opening the door to more wisdom that will empower you to apply God's principles to your finances and your spirit. Take a moment right now to leave a comment saying, "I am prosperous," and let that declaration take root in your heart. When you speak those words, you're aligning your life with the abundance that God has planned for you. I believe that as you continue on this journey, God will bless your efforts and multiply your success in ways you can't even imagine. Get ready for a future full of purpose, peace, and prosperity.